these words are the mystery of hearing his words. That's it. That's all there was. Never happened. Love y'all. The introduction is really just to give sort of a sketch, so the parameters, the concepts of what we're talking about. And it's this message isn't really about understanding anything. It isn't really here to change anything. It actually is a message, if you'd like, that doesn't have any content to it at all. So the only reason that this meeting would happen is because there's an experience that has the experience of being the content or being the knower of the appearance. And that knower, that content to the appearance, then is necessarily, you could say that content is the knower, and knowing necessarily engenders the need to know. That need to know you might recognize as the sense that something's missing, something needs to happen. Some of you might know of something called the spiritual search. And then you might very unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you resonate with this, land at a non-duality meeting with a message that has nothing for you. Now, the experience is that something needs to happen. The knower thinks that something needs to happen. There needs to be enough knowing for the seeking to end. The experience of that knower is that something's missing, that it needs to accomplish something, to bring about, have a certain realization, have a certain experience, have a certain knowing, a certain insight, do the right thing to find what it feels is missing. Now, the message is very, very simple, and that is there isn't anything missing. That what is, or what's happening, is all there is. There isn't anything that can be said about it. This what is without beginning or end. It has no boundaries. It has no limits. It has no beginning. There's no way to actually say anything about it, because it is all that arises, all that appears. So being singular in that sense, or all-encompassing in that sense, you can't even say it's what is. So you can't even say that what's happening, that what's arising is what is, because what is an object. So you'd have to say that what arises or what appears is and isn't, or is just inconceivable. Now, the idea for the individual, the idea for the knower, the experience of the knower, is that is a separation, that I know what is, that I know I'm listening to this, or I know I'm sitting, or I know I'm standing, or I know I'm moving. I know that. Now, that is what is. It just happens to have within it the experience that something's missing, which is also what is. So in that sense, we're not actually looking to change anything. That's not what the message is. The message just reflects nothing to that experience of knowing, which says, I need to know more. And the reflection, what's received or gotten in a meeting like this is nothing. The answer is that's not true. That's an illusion. So the next logical question is, well, what do I do then to not be stuck in the knowing experience that something needs to happen? Well, there isn't actually anyone stuck in a knowing experience that something needs to happen. That's an illusion. Do you get it? So the entire experience that I need to learn something, that the appearance is somehow incomplete and it's up to me to bring it about, is an illusion. Because the experience of separation never happens. The experience happens, I get that, but it's never true. There isn't actually a knowing position that is separate from everything else. I understand that's the experience, but that's an illusion. There is only the immediacy of what seems to be. And that's what this is. So this isn't a message that has nothing for the individual because that's a secret or they're being held back or you're not good enough. It's because there's nothing missing. The claim of the individual is illusory. Whatever's arising is completely new. There is no history to the appearance. There's no solidity to it. There's nothing real about it, nor is there anything unreal about it. It's simply what appears. And like I said, you can't say anything about it, but as a reflection to the experience of the individual, which says this is knowable, it's limited, it's conditional, the response is that's just illusion. This is unlimited. It is unconditional. It is absolute freedom already. It is unconditional love already. It is the absolute appearing relative already. Not only is nothing need to happen, but nothing ever really does happen. So what you're waiting for is something that will never happen. What the individual is waiting for is an experience. And what we're talking about, where this message comes from, is the end of experience, which never happens. It is already. Well, I was a little meandering, but I think I got a lot of concepts in there about what we're talking about, that there's no one, there's only everything. And I guess you take over again now, Emerson, or
thank you
people
so
just
much.
raise their hand? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jim. That was brilliant. I forgot to mention something. Next weekend, we have Jim's retreat, a virtual retreat. It's going to be epic. 2 days of Jim Newman, 3 sessions each day. If you want to join that, you can go to nothing.fm. And if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, or you can also raise your hand and unmute yourself. You can also write a text when a question arises. I have a question from William. William, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself.
Hi, Emerson. Hi, Jim. So,
hey, William.
Everything that I was going to ask, you've covered it already in the introduction.
I get bonus points for that.
I had some questions before the meeting, and then I was listening. I was thinking, right, he's answering all my questions. What am I going to ask him? But I get that you're saying, so what the individual's looking for is the end of experience. And the end of experience isn't...
No, it's not. It's completely fixed in the need for more experience. It has no room to choose non-experience. So its only function is to go for more experience. It has no choice in that. That's just part of the function of that individual, is to seek a better experience, more knowing.
So the hope that one day I'll become liberated like Jim or Tony or...
But I'm not liberated.
Okay, so, but there are definitely... Well, I didn't know you before the apparent me fell away, but I would assume there are apparent changes, like psychosomatic...
And so what? What would it mean? Let's say I now shit gold. So what? I mean, other than I wouldn't have to look for money anymore. But other than that, so what? Who cares?
surely it's better that there's all the
Yeah, but
relaxation.
you're doing that. You're saying that somebody gets something, that I know that the situation now is different than it once was. That's just the dream. That knower who's trying to orient themselves in the context of the apparent, which it's in control of, is a dream. It's an illusion. So when that ends, there's no one left that knows.
So even waiting for the end of the appearance of separation, there's some hope that I'm going to get something. You've just said that nobody will get anything.
No.
I can't stop hoping for it.
Well, there isn't a you. It's not like you're doing it. There isn't a you in there with free will and choice to choose to do it or not to do it. The whole experience is impersonal. It just appears as a knowing center to the appearance that then needs to know more and have more experience. And that's absolutely hopeless. It's a hopeless endeavor.
So there are apparent changes when the appearance of the me stops happening, but
Who says that?
It's an assumption that I have.
All right, yeah.
That things would apparently change, like...
Yeah, you'll be enlightened then. And then all the women will love you.
I wouldn't go that far. As long as
but
I
isn't
stop...
that the dream? Isn't that the dream? I'm going to finally be the good person I've always wanted to be, and now everybody's going to like me. And even if they don't, I won't care.
Yeah, or at least I'll stop hating myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That would be enough.
Yeah, no.
If only that could happen.
Yeah. You don't hate yourself. It's just something that seems to happen. Nobody does any of that. It's just a sensation that arises. It's just a concept, a conceptual experience that arises. It's just arising. Nobody does any of it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Jeff.
Thank you, William. Up
you.
next, we have Heidi. Heidi, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm here.
Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Jim. Hi.
Hi.
I cannot see you. I just can see Emerson. It's also nice.
No.
Can you change me to Jim?
I don't know.
Okay. I have you now.
There we are.
Now. So here we are. So I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that I'm bubbling up to stay in now. It's so great. Absolutely great. That's all.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no now.
Yeah. Okay. There's no now. Now. No now. Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Heidi. We have
Welcome.
Gunnar. Gunnar, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself. Thank you, Heidi.
Welcome.
It's Gunnar, by the way, but that's not so important. Jim, these messages, or this message seems to run on the supposition that the individual is looking for something. And maybe it is, but as I understand traditional spiritual messages, they do not suggest that you be looking for something. The traditional description of what is aimed at is a cessation, right?
Well, this message doesn't aim at anything.
Yeah, that's just a manner of speaking.
No, it's not. Either you're aiming for something or you're not. For the individual, the appearance's experience is incomplete, and so the aim is to complete it, to know enough.
I think you're just using my formulation of aiming at getting around the question. So the traditional description of the end of seeking is a cessation.
Yeah.
So,
but that's not the end of cessation isn't the result of something.
Yeah. But first off, I want to say that it doesn't seem to me as if your message is particularly new.
No, it's not.
I think it's, from what I'm getting, it's pretty traditional, except in the style of presentation, maybe.
Well, I think there's some major differences which you obviously don't like very much because you think I'm taking pedantic attacks rather than actually making a statement or a point about where there's a difference between the traditional, what you might call Advaita or Buddhism, I'm not sure where you are, and what's being shared here. They're very different. And we can go into that.
Yeah. Please. First off, please do not assume that I do not like something. The reason I'm asking is not because I dislike anything. I'm just trying to find out.
No, I said you didn't like me picking on what was it?
That's your formulation.
Intention, a goal.
Yeah. The aiming at the
aiming. You didn't like. You thought I was taking that out of context. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that was just a manner of speaking, of describing the fact that the end result of whatever.
Do you have a question about this? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
So also from my experience, I experienced temporary cessations, and in which there was no one to aim at anything. Well, and that seemed to me in line with tradition, and I just wanted to get your view on whether or not your message is particularly different from that traditional description of the aim, of the non-aim or whatever.
Well, you know, I mean, it depends on who you're talking about. You've got tons of people out there who've written lots of stuff. Yeah. And a lot of times it sounds very similar to what's being shared here. And then they go on and tell you what to do about it. And that's where this message completely is very different than most, especially traditional methods. Because, you know, the message, it can't survive in a world of seeking, because the seeker will always assume that it understands what's being suggested. It will always put it into a context which makes sense to it. Whereas the message actually doesn't make sense. It doesn't actually relate to any context. It's illogical and it's irrational. So if someone hears, like, it's very simple to say that what appears is purity. There is only purity. Now, if there's an individual listening to this, they'll have the experience of, I don't know that. Then they'll assume that something needs to happen for this to become the purity that whoever said it was pure. And that's where religions come from.
Yeah.
And so if you're talking about tradition, that's normally what happens.
Yeah. But don't you think that this is already priced into many traditions? Because as I understand traditions, is that they consider these what they call a teaching that leads, that is just a concession to your illusion, not your particularly, but to the student's illusion. So they guide the student because he has this illusion that you're speaking of, and then in the end, it's like a joke, right? In the end, they reveal that which they could have revealed from the start if the student wouldn't be obsessed with seeking.
Yeah.
Right.
And well, but you're talking about somebody who actually wakes up.
It seems to me like your message is simply reducing this whole thing to the final joke, right? Is that correct?
No, it doesn't see anybody to lead.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just dropping.
Well, that's hugely different. You seem to be, you're not taking the responses for face value for some reason. It seems like you just wrap it into your understanding. I'm literally saying there isn't anyone to lead. And you say, yeah, but they already know that. But they don't know that, obviously, if they're trying to lead someone.
Who do you mean, like, with
anybody you're talking about who has these teachings that are leading people?
I see. Okay. Well, they could be just dancing, right? You're talking to me also.
Nobody's talking to you, but you're not talking to me either. There's just talking happening.
Yeah. But that could be the same thing in these traditional teachings.
Okay, so we're not understanding each other, and I guess that's just where we'll have to.
Thank you so much, Gunnar. We have a couple more questions that are coming. We have a lot of questions coming up. Thank you so much, Gunnar. I have a question here via text. Does Jim have an opinion of psychedelics? What's your view informed by their use?
Well, I have, personal experience. Of course, in college, I tried it, and then basically LSD, and all it really showed me was that everything isn't the way it seemed. And as far as I get psychedelics, it's just another experience.
Thank you so much. I have Yasmin up next. Yasmin, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Yasmin.
Hi, Jim. So I had listened to a couple of your YouTube talks, and I was wondering about one thing. You mentioned there's basically only chaos and everything is anarchy. And
Yeah.
so I was just wondering, like in terms of laws of nature or survival instinct, or why don't we go and throw ourselves in front of the bus and stuff like that? How would you explain that chaos and anarchy thing?
This is not going to be very satisfying, but the drive to survive and the laws of nature are chaos or anarchy appearing as or being the laws of nature or the drive to survive.
And how do you know that?
I don't.
Okay.
There's nothing known here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because you also said something, I think it was in your last Zoom talk, where you said basically talking about the brain and mentioning something about the brain and then saying there is no brain. But basically that message can only come from a brain, right? If there were no brain, it couldn't, where does it come from, that statement, there is no brain, for example?
Because there isn't one. It's an imagination. It's just sort of a dream that we have a brain.
Yeah, so, but, and I realize that a lot of the answers are, that's just what appears, basically, basically when you now say there is no brain, that is what's appearing, right? But where does it come from?
That the brain, you don't ever see your brain.
Right.
You only see somebody else's brain.
Yeah.
So it's sort of an assumption that you have a brain. But as long as we're telling each other stories, it's a good description of why certain functions arise because the brain, or conditioning, all of that seems to happen in the brain.
Right. But
what doesn't happen in the brain is a central knower experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's not referred to in the brain as the experience would suggest it to be. But that's something else. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Apart from the brain surgeon, obviously, who would see
not his own brain. He'll only she'll only ever see anybody else's.
Sure.
But there's more to it than you think, because that jump in assumption about a reality that isn't evident is exactly where the dream of the individual is. It's the dream that there's something else that's unknown or not yet known, which will be the solution to what I am. That it lives in a world that there's something else. And so when this says, this is all there is, that's nothing to it. It gives it nothing, or it tries to be now.
Yeah, I understand. Like, I kind of get that it's not to understand in a, like intellectual way. But how would you describe, for example, talking of the survival instinct or of your need to, I don't know, look for money, for example, as you was just mentioning earlier, these things, like, is it just what's appearing, or is it just like it comes out of nowhere? Is it, in terms of like anarchy? And basically you could at the same time say that it's very unlikely that you go and throw yourself in front of a bus tomorrow, for example. Why is that?
Yeah.
Like,
well, we've already talked about it, that the body seems to have the survival mechanism.
And that is, that doesn't mean any structure or any law of nature to you, like, because you say it's all anarchy.
But what you're doing is you're putting the survival mechanism of the body into a context of a life and free will and choice and somebody having it. That is simply this. It's this appearing as a conversation about free will.
Right.
It's this appearing as a conversation of somebody jumping or not jumping in front of a bus. There isn't anybody jumping or not jumping in front of the bus. It's just us talking about it.
Okay, one last question. The ordinary reality, the relative reality we have, how would you, like, is that not is it not possible to say there is this whole you know, like it's all one, and this whole oneness thing that you're talking about, and then there's
I am not talking about oneness.
no,
and
I
this
mean there's
all
also the
oneness
experience
thing.
of an ordinary relative reality in which there is, you know, like when you book a venue, you're not saying it's nobody speaking. I mean, you say it's Jim Newman.
I do.
Right?
I call them up and say, look, there's nobody here,
Yeah.
and we want enough seats for about 100 no ones, and we need it for the weekend so that we can do nothing.
Yeah, right. In that
That's
relative
exactly
frame,
what I
it might
do.
be understood, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like when you go to
Yeah,
the
I
doctor.
do. How
I
is
think
this practical? And
it's
where
all
that comes
practical,
from?
ordinary reality, no? It's, I mean, to function in the world as we live in, as we,
Yeah,
you know, like everyday
but
stuff.
the suggestion here is there isn't actually a world, and there isn't
Okay.
anybody that lives in it.
Right. And yet you go and have breakfast, you go to your doctor.
But those are
appointment.
just thoughts. You're just bringing up thoughts about what this could appear as, and it could appear as anyone. But you're then drawing conclusions that this whole appearance is part of a continuum that relates to you. That's why you want to know how this functions. The misunderstanding is there isn't anybody in that body asking these
Sure.
questions.
I find it extremely
It just
liberating, the
functions.
idea that
It
there
just
is
functions.
in that sense, yeah.
You've
But
never
still it's relative
you've never
reality.
chosen not to jump in front of a bus.
It's just what appears, right?
No, it's just there's no one in there making choices.
Mm-hmm. And how can we still say it's unlikely to happen? Like
Now, exactly. But that's where we're back to the point of the whole thing, that the experience of the individual is one of knowing.
mm-hmm.
And so it wants to know
Yeah.
because it thinks that what's lost or the mystery is hidden to it because it doesn't know enough.
And this is a message of unknowing, unbecoming in a way, right? The one you're sharing.
Well, it's a message of, yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know
you
about unbecoming, but of unknowing.
Unknowing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. Thank you.
Thanks.
We have a whole bunch of questions coming up here, but the next person that I have is Wenk. Wenk, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself.
Wenk?
Venka!
Venka!
Sorry, Venka. Sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. That's so cool. We don't exist.
Sorry.
Wenky. No, Venka.
Venka.
Yes, thank you. Dankeschön. I've been enjoying your videos. I'm not really trained in all this meditation and guru thing at all.
Oh no, well, you have to meditate for at least a year before we have a conversation to raise up your level. No, I'm sorry, I'm just playing.
Yeah. I'm the thing that I'm really trying to get my mind around is that doesn't exist is when I have a symptom, like let's say a panic attack or something like that. What to deal, how to be like this and say, well, I don't even exist. It doesn't even exist. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
How to apply
Hilarious.
how to apply what we're talking about to your life.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I call that applied non-duality.
Okay.
And that is an oxymoron.
Wow.
Yeah. Because this literally isn't about you. The message is actually that there isn't a you. And that the you that's experienced is an experience in loss or an experience in something missing, which creates an experience that something needs to happen or the search for something more, which makes this appearance appear as though it's somehow incomplete. And it is never incomplete. It is not incomplete now, and there isn't another time for it to be incomplete in. It's already whole. And there's nothing needs to happen for that to be the case. And the illusion, those who experience that it's not the case, is just simply an illusion that arises for no reason and disappears for no reason. And the disappearance, just so that we're clear, the disappearance of that experience isn't a real disappearance. It doesn't really go away. The recognition is there isn't anyone. Nothing is actually known. There isn't any separation already.
That is fucking beautiful, man.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Hmm.
Well, I have to let this sing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Danke, Venka. Sorry for mispronouncing your
No
name.
worries.
And I'm going to do another one. I have a question here first from Avi. Avi asked, why does, Iggy asked, why does an illusion of separation appear?
No reason.
And then
There's no reason. There's no reason to anything. The only one looking for a reason is the one that feels like something's missing. And that's an illusion. This doesn't need anything.
Bam, thank you. There's another one here from Johannes. So there's no escape for the apparent self because it's not there in the first hand?
Yep. Well done. Gold star.
Certificate to be followed soon. Marketa, go ahead, please. Go ahead, please.
No certificates here.
Hello, Jim.
Hey.
My question, I don't think it makes much sense, but I'm going to try to ask it anyway. Like, I'm just curious a bit, because when there is this feeling of separation, then we distinguish between living and non-living things. Yes, and like like there are animals, plants, and people we see as alive, and stones and bricks and houses we see them as matters and not alive, like And you say that like when there is this experience of separation, that we view everything as half dead.
Yeah, no, as dead. Yeah.
Sorry?
Everything sort of, there's an aliveness that is not things being alive, which this is already. So this position is aliveness having this position. It's just, the smiling is just aliveness smiling. But what happens is there's an experience of knowing which arises out of a contracted energy in the body, which pushes the aliveness only in the dream of the individual to somewhere else. So the aliveness, which is the end of the need of seeking, is now somewhere else because I know I'm here. And so I then go on the search for the aliveness, which is already everything, which seems to be now somewhere else.
So it's not like the way I understand, like alive. Okay, no. So it's not okay.
The rock is equally alive in the sense that we're talking about the rock, the tree, the street, the what comes out of the back of a car. I can't think of it right now. Exhaust. Yeah. It's all aliveness. There's only aliveness. That's all there is aliveness. But then I arise in here and I then go on the search for aliveness.
Okay, so it's then. So it's different aliveness than I thought it is.
You're talking about being alive.
Yeah, so it's not that
I'm making it into an adverb, aliveness.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know I can understand it, but everything is alive. What did I want to ask? Yeah. So could it be said that? And then it's kind of seen, and then everything is probably aliveness one. Is that oneness kind of?
No, it's never seen. No. There's an end of the knowing, and what's left is aliveness.
Aliveness.
Yeah.
It's aliveness.
You call it anything you want. Call it the absolute, call it what is and isn't. It doesn't
Okay.
matter. They're just words, really.
Okay, so all right, so it doesn't have to. Okay, all right.
You can't work this out. It's only that experience of separation that wants to work something out because it feels like it needs to work something out. It's working it out all the time.
But
And
it
the
helps.
message is,
It helps that to know that I had it completely wrong. No,
good.
It helps.
Yeah,
It helps.
good.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Marketa. I have a question here. Oh, I thought I just saw adyashanti there, but it's not adyashanti. Just a second. Rose asks, is religion a form of escapism? Hi, Jim. Are you there? Jim just froze. There's no Jim. We're just going to wait for a moment here.
Already was no Jim.
Just a moment. Just some technical difficulties. He'll be back. How's everyone?
The answer is no anyway.
Just
There's no one here, so nothing to worry.
That's right.
Can we just talk, or do you have to give us a voice first?
I'm just waiting for Jim right now. Just bear with me here for a moment. He is trying to come in. There he is.
I am. Oh, now I've unmuted, but I'm really dark for some reason.
Yes. Hi, Jim. Welcome back.
Well, sort of. Hey, sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Rose has a question here. Is religion a form of escapism?
Yeah.
And there's Iggy question here. Iggy goes, is everything apparently happening automatically and predetermined?
No, it's not automatic and it's not predetermined because it doesn't have any real solidity to it.
Another one here is, what is the difference between the dreams with an apparent person is sleeping and the dream of experiences when an apparent person is in a wakeful state?
Same thing.
Last question here on the text here. You ever call Tony? You're not speaking to anyone? LMAO.
Do I ever call Tony?
Yes.
Yeah, we talk.
That was actually that was in reference to someone was at, I don't know, you said there is no one, and I had a conversation with Tony once where I called him up and I was like, hello, and he's like, hello, this is Tony Parsons, and I was like, yes, I know, you're not speaking to anyone. That's all he said. That's it.
Thank you. I have a question here from Elena. Elena, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
Just 1 second.
Mhm.
Do you see
There
me?
you are.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, hi. We know each other. Hi.
This message resonates in me stronger and stronger each day. It's like sometimes I'm listening the message and something in me says yes, but I don't know who says this yes is true. It's actually totally. But this doesn't last, Jim. This relaxation, this decontracted energy doesn't last. The me comes back strongly every time.
Until it doesn't.
Yes, until it doesn't. I have two questions. This energy, which energy? Do you feel the energy in the body still?
No. Oh, I mean, there's emotions in the body, if that's what you mean. Emotions and thoughts and hunger. Hunger is an energy in the body. Is that what you mean?
I don't know.
Oh, right. So there's just what arises. If you mean, do I feel, is there's an experience of the aliveness that everything is? No.
I give an example for
Okay.
you. For I interact with somebody else, let's say, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I feel happiness, the good energy in the body. Sometimes I get just sick, only to interact with.
Yeah.
Do you still feel this?
Yeah, some people have that effect on me, yeah. It's not about, this message really isn't about, and I hear it in some of the questions about what does it mean and what do I do about it and what is it, how does it affect me, or what do you know? And it's really just not about you. It's basically, the message is basically, there's simply what's arising and it's not for anyone. And it doesn't matter if it's making one sick, or if it's in the energy of the individual, or if it's the energy of seeking, or the energy of need, or simply the revelation that there's no beginning or end to the appearance. It makes no difference. It makes no difference at all. There's simply what arises and not arising for anyone.
Because for me, when this energy arises, especially, of course, when you interact with somebody and you're happy, you don't question it. But when you get sick, you ask yourself, do I resist to something? Because everything is just a projection, right?
Well, do I resist something? What you're talking about is the journey of the individual of becoming a good person, of knowing what's happening and getting the response or the reaction right. That's just part of the dream of the individual, knowing what's happening.
It is possible to be the way of me to accept everything and to surrender.
The me can't accept everything. Accepting everything is not accepting everything.
But it's keep trying.
You can't help but try. The me will constantly keep trying, and it'll take anything, even this message, and try to apply it to its life. Because it's looking for something. And the message is nothing's missing already. But as long as there's that experience of knowing, there will be seeking.
Because I did self-inquiry for a while, and I still wonder, because you put a question, who am I? And of course, sometimes you get glimpses, you get revelation, and this don't come from the mind for sure. So what is the difference? You talking from that place, and these glimpses come from that place.
Glimpses are a story. Glimpses are just a part of the story, like any revelation or realization. Because it means something, and it doesn't actually mean anything. Nothing does. This appearance doesn't mean anything. It has no hidden meaning to it.
I still don't understand. I had a question, a more question, but I forgot.
Well, we're here for another 30 minutes or so.
But actually, it's always happened with you. I always forget my questions during the conversation, and I hate that.
Oh, write them down.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elena.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Elena.
We have a question here from Avi. Avi, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, it's Avi. I just wanted to say too, when I hear Jim saying this, it's like everything is saying this, and I can't describe it. But there seems to be this sort of teetering back and forth thing going on where it feels like there is this individual, and then, for lack of a better language, it's almost like it just merges into the everything. And it's apparently happening more and more frequently, where there are these, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I was watching a deer earlier this morning, and it was just so clear that there was nothing in the deer doing the deer.
Nobody was watching either.
Nobody was watching either. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. I don't know. From the this knowing standpoint of being this individual, there's no way to describe that. There's no way to grasp it. I don't even really know what I'm talking about. But it was like the deer was the trees that it was eating, and the grass it was standing on, and the whole thing was just not a thing. It was just man, I don't know. I don't know where this is going, but
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
No.
When I hear there was no other kind of, there isn't an actual message, but when I hear the message apparently from Jim, I like talking to Andreas a lot too. Yeah, it's the only non-actual description, because it isn't actually leading a description on. And that's why it's the closest that I can come. Like you would always say, like, you know, when you were with Tony in these non-duality discussions, it was the closest you could come to being home.
Yeah.
And it wasn't home, because being in the discussion wasn't it.
Yeah.
But it's really beyond the entirely beyond my understanding and beyond who I am as a person, and what I know, and the any of the ideas I could have. Like you say, we're not talking about oneness, we're not talking about something. And yeah, I just want to say that it's really beautiful to have this discussion, you know, that it's occurring in this manner, because nothing's really being said about this the entire
thanks,
time.
Avi.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Avi. We have Omri L. Omri L, go ahead and unmute yourself. And then we have Marketa, and then Heidi, and we have some questions that I'm going to read.
Yeah, hi, Jim.
Hey, Omri.
Hey, I was hoping you could give me a definition of what the me actually is.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say it's knowing. You could say it's awareness or consciousness.
Wow,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, well, okay. And
it's an illusion. And so awareness is an
illusion.
illusion. Consciousness is an illusion.
Got you. So the me and this awareness and consciousness, does it still appear for you?
No, it doesn't. No.
It doesn't.
No.
Not like it's there, but it's invalid.
No.
Okay.
But it's not like it disappeared. it never was.
Right.
It's not happening. That's why this message is so unhelpful and will never be popular, because it just has nothing because the individual is convinced it's a part and parcel of the experience of itself that something needs to happen. And so when a message comes along that says there's no now, there's no consciousness, there's no awareness, there's nothing to find and nowhere to go, it's just the most dissatisfying. It's a brick wall to that experience that something needs to happen. But it just happens to be the case. There is nothing needed. It's already fulfilled. And it's got nothing to do with you.
But when you see this appearance of awareness, I mean, you don't see it. You don't see an appearance of awareness still.
You only,
like, okay.
Everything I'm talking about, if I talk about specific things like there's no awareness or consciousness or no me or no knowing, those are all sort of things that fell away, which were held by contracted energy. So it's no problem for this to say there's no awareness because it left as a contracted energy. Right. It's so impossible because the experience of being an individual is the distance between things. It's me knowing or me being aware of something else. And so that energy of trying to find the non-awareness of that, it's just a small, it goes around in a circle. It's only in the falling away of it is it then obvious that it's not happening. It's not real. It's just a contracted energy held in the body trying to find something. You know the story of Adam and Eve, the tree of knowledge? Well, so Adam and Eve, they were the first people on earth, and they were in a place called paradise. It was the Garden of Eden. And they were told they could do anything they wanted except to eat from one tree, which happened to be the tree of knowledge. And one of them did, or they both ate from it. And then suddenly shame arose. The need to clothe themselves, they were kicked out of paradise. They had to clothe themselves because then shame arose. And that's all we're talking about. We're talking about this appearance as sort of two realities. One, where you've eaten from the tree of knowledge. Nobody does it, but it seems to happen. The tree of knowledge, cast out of paradise. Or the reality that this is already unknowing. Nobody's eaten from the tree of knowledge. There's simply paradise. It's not an experience, but when there's nothing else, then this is obviously perfection, but not for anyone.
Okay. But there's nothing to understand for anyone.
I mean, understanding happens. I find the concepts of what we're talking about fairly straightforward, although unusual, but there's no need for anything. There is nothing needed. This appearance isn't actually going anywhere. It's not becoming. For the individual, it lives in a life of becoming, either better or worse. And this appearance actually doesn't have that. It doesn't have becoming. It is already all there is. So there's no need. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Omri.
Thank you, Omri.
Tom's PA asks, is the dream of me confined to this body, or is this body a part of the dream? The me seems to reside here.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. The me seems to be inside the body. It's not actually. It's just an experience that it's inside the body. Actually, when it arises as a cloud of knowing in which everything, it just takes over everything. So everything either is a part of me or it's not a part of me. But the experience as it arises in the body.
Brilliant. Thank you. Marketa, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself.
Hello, Jim. Maybe
hey.
two more quick questions. When we were talking about the aliveness, everything is aliveness. Could it be said that, like, for the person, is the true meaning of God? Everything is, do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Depending on what you mean. I mean, there's a conceptual God, if you're talking about the God of religions, which is just something that was created to reflect man's need for an authority figure or hope. Yeah.
But that's not what I mean.
But when we talk about the appearance, it doesn't matter what you call it.
Yeah.
You can call it light, you can call it pizza, You can call it understanding. You can call it anything you want, because what we're talking about is what can't be objectified. So if you want to call it God, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, I understand it. And
God can be sort of confusing, though, I think.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Got a lot of baggage.
Sure. Not for me though. Yeah. I mean, and so when the story of Adam and Eve was mentioned, is it kind of telling? Does it seem to be this, let's say, non-dual teaching as if?
Absolutely. It does to me. It speaks directly to knowing as the beginning of seeking, knowing as the initiating experience that casts one out of paradise. Because that's the experience of the individual.
And
it's the experience of something being lost.
So, but we have no idea who came up with this story, do we? It's part of the old. I don't even remember. It's part of the New Testament. Do we know?
It's the Old Testament.
It's
the beginning of the Old Testament. But who cares? It doesn't matter.
Well, I think it's very interesting because some of the stories, they are just kind of, they sound like history, and this is kind of more modern history. Yeah. Okay. And maybe one more short thing. So sometimes you say, "I will. This will never be popular."
Yeah.
How do you know?
Because there's nothing on offer.
But
because there's just literally nothing on offer in the individual.
It may change though, no? Maybe in years to come. Or it may change though, maybe.
Fine.
Yeah.
I have no dog in the race. It just seems like unless there's something on offer, there's just very little, there's nothing to attract anyone to it.
But there's even seem to be, it's just like, even more people being interested on what you have to say, it seems to. No, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marketa. I have iPhone von Heidi. Go ahead, please.
iPhone von Heidi.
Or Heidi.
Yeah. Okay. Hello again.
Hello, iPhone.
So I just forgot to take away this iPhone, but it's not bad. I cannot see you, Jim.
We're back there again.
Now I see you again.
There I am.
Here I am. Yeah. So I had a question, and 2 seconds later you gave me the answer. So it was about understanding. So understanding is just happening.
Yeah. There's only what's just happening.
Yeah, and this is why I 3 years ago I started with Tony Parsons, and this is why I come back again and again, because I feel like a fish in the water now. Before it was like a fish that is not in the water. It's like this metaphor that came up, and it's really that understanding is just happening. Even there is a question, the question's just happening. All is then just happening, and this is it's a good I said in the beginning, it's just bubbling up. All is just bubbling up like this. Yeah. I wanted to come back to this understanding. Yeah. It's great. It's really great. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Gunnar, go ahead, please. Unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm muted. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Would it be correct to say that your message could be simply to say life as it is?
Life as it is.
Yeah. So that's the message, is really life as it really is. And only if we don't see it as it really is, then the usual form of your message arises.
Nobody ever sees it as it really is.
Yeah. And that's how life really is.
I think it's sort of the same as there's just what's happening. There's just what is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even the word happening seems to be a bit of a concession, right?
Not really. Not really, because what is or what's happening isn't real. It's simply apparent. So it's neither real nor is it unreal. So it only seems to be happening. There's only what seems to be happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So the word happening is already in terms of seeming to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. That's actually, that would be more the message, if you wanted to narrow it down, would be nothing is real and nothing is unreal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There isn't even something to be unreal, right?
Yeah. Nor is there anything to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Apparently.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jackie, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, Jim.
Hey, Jackie. In a cordwood cabin somewhere.
Indeed, yeah, cozy as anything with masonry stoves. It's fabulous. So you were saying earlier how, you know, like there's nothing behind this. You know, there's no history to it. There's no future to it. There's no physical reality. You know, it's not like somewhere. It's not like this thing is happening somewhere. So, you know, when they talk about, you know, when you hear about history and like say the dinosaur fossils and all that, what is that? You know,
well,
when things are discovered that supposedly
yes,
are from
I
the
understand
past.
where the question comes from, because you said there isn't any history and there isn't any future and there isn't anything. All those things certainly do seem to appear, but it's just what is appearing is that.
Yeah, like it's not proof that there was a past. It's just that's what's appearing.
Yeah,
that's just what's appearing. It's something that appears to be from the past.
Yes,
is appearing.
Exactly.
I just love, I don't know, I just love the whole, you know, when you say about, you know, there's nothing behind this, you know, and there's no,
it's amazingly free, the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's impersonal, you know, and then it's completely boundless. Like it's not happening somewhere. There's no space or time or there's no, like, no one's looking at anything. Like it is completely blind and impersonal. I just love it. Yeah, it's not really a question. It's just I just love
Thanks,
that
though.
piece of it.
Thank you,
you're
Jack.
not wearing earrings. You're not wearing earrings, are you?
Ear pods.
Is there something on the bottom of your ears, on your ear?
Ear pods. I have a listening device.
Because
so
it looks like you're wearing earrings.
Yeah, I know. I'm
So
moving.
like,
I'm moving in that direction. I'm getting fancier and
you know,
fancier. I like the long dangly ones.
A good. Yeah, but
would I a good transvestite?
And
yeah,
you would. Well, transgender. I'd go the whole way. You would make such a lovely woman.
Oh, there's places to move. I can develop. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, you look like you'd make a beautiful woman.
Oh well, thank you very much.
Keep growing the hair.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You're a beautiful man too, of course. But
well, there we go. Now we can keep talking.
Thank you, Jackie. Go ahead, Tanya.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Tanya.
I have extremely silly question. I was
there aren't
listening.
Any silly questions.
I was listening for you for years, and actually, the first time I came across a message, I had absolutely entire shock, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, then I got used to that a bit, and then, and you know, I know it doesn't matter, and that everything is going like it's going, and it's anarchy and things like that. But the ones in one of the meetings, I don't remember which one, when you try to explain what is reality and you mentioned dirty underpants and things like that. And then you said, like, I said you were annoyed, and you said it's not even 3D, and it keeps coming to me. I know it's just like pure curiosity, but what did you mean?
I don't know. I don't even know what you asked. Did you say something about 3D? It's not even 3D?
Yeah, you
Oh,
said,
I know what you're talking about. So in the story of Jim, as the me was falling away, there is a realization or a revelation that the appearance is only really two-dimensional. It looks like a postcard.
Yeah.
That's just one of those, it's all meaningless. It's just meaningless. All these insights, all the things that I talk about, it's all meaningless. What we're pointing at is that what arises is everything. There isn't anything else.
I know, but most of all, I love dirty underpants. I'm really grateful for that. Because every time I go into this high skies and think about eternity and, clear your mind and things like that, dirty underpants are
yes.
Thanks for that. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you so much. I have a couple of questions here, Jim, that I'm going to read. This one question is, why is Jim appearing daily in the apparent of this eye? The eye wonders. Should this me take it personally?
No, I don't even know what the question meant. Sound very mind fucky. I don't know what all that means.
I have a question here from Yasmin. Go ahead, please, Yasmin, unmute yourself.
Hi again, Jim.
Hi.
One more question regarding, you said at some point about the meaning, that there is no meaning to anything or no value.
No.
Like, could you expand a bit on that? Like when you, for example, the joy that arises, the laughter, I don't know, the sense of wonder in the world when we experience certain things, and even that sense of liberation with the message, is that all kind of just an illusion, or?
It's a story. So meaning, so when the individual arises, I can just tell you what it looked like when it fell away. Of course, we're pointing to this as already boundless everythingness. But as the me fell away, there's the recognition that that contracted energy, which knows, there's certain things that come along with it, such as the experience of my life, the experience of free will and choice. And one of the things that arises is the experience or it's sort of like a blanket of meaning and purpose that seems to emanate out of the center me-ness into everything else. Everything then is part of my story, which either has or doesn't have meaning and does or doesn't have purpose. And it's my responsibility and it's my life to fulfill those things. And that's just part of the structure of that illusory experience of being an individual.
But could there not also be a sense of wonder and joy and all that arising?
Yeah, of course.
Not tied to me or to my
story
or
to any
story.
Like, totally.
And then there is meaning, right? Not to me, but
no, not at all. No, there's no
not?
meaning. Joy isn't meaningful. It's just something that seems to arise. Beauty.
Right. So you find it's only meaningful if we kind of refer it to ourselves, but
you really, what you're telling me, that when I hear your question, you're saying there's a knower, and then there's the individual, and that you have the free will and choice not to apply those things to the appearance. And that's just not what happens. As long as the individual is there, when joy arises, beauty arises, it immediately takes ownership of it. And that dulls the reality of that beauty completely. It's still what is. There's nothing right or wrong with it, but it has no choice but to own it and therefore put it into the context of its life, which does change it in some ways.
So you're saying there is no possibility of joy arising without a sense of ownership?
No, I'm saying joy is a pale, what do you say? It's pales to the reality of joy when nobody's there. What beauty is with no one has nothing to do with what beauty is when there's an individual knowing it's experiencing beauty.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
But there's still no meaning or purpose.
But what makes you say that?
Nor value.
Why is there no value?
But that would be a value, wouldn't there? If there were a why to no value, that would be value.
I don't know, like, could there not be meaning at the same time with the nothingness?
Well, there is apparent meaning which arises in the dream experience of the individual. There's apparent meaning.
Like an illusion.
It's just illusory. And
Okay.
what the meaning is for the individual is hope or need to find something. That's where all of this arises out of. Knowing is a very tricky thing, because knowing for the individual, when it arises, the first thing it knows is here, is the first thing known in the experience of the person is here. That feels like you've gotten something.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like I have now a comfort blanket, like a little baby. I know something. What's not so obvious is knowing here engenders the need to know, and it never ends. So
like,
knowing isn't, yeah, go ahead.
For example, when you just as like an image, you walk through a forest and your sense of self disappears, falls away, whatever. You just see the trees, hear the birds, whatever. And there's this joy that doesn't feel personal, that doesn't like, it's not something that I own or that, okay, this is my joy, but it's something that arises. How would you, like, how is that fitting into everything?
Well, it's just exactly what you said,
It's
just something
what
arising.
Appears.
Yeah.
It's just what appears, and but it has no value in the sense
nothing does. If it had value, if it had meaning and purpose, it wouldn't really be free, would it? It would be confined to the value it has, or the freedom, or the meaning that it is, or the purpose that it is, or that it
maybe
serves.
It would just be something descriptive of it, right? It would be something that has value, but for no one in that sense. Maybe.
No, but it's only with someone that value arises.
Okay.
It's only the individual that seeks value because it feels like this is somehow incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes up with morals and mores and values and meanings and purpose, not as an action. It doesn't choose those things. Those just arise with that experience.
Thank you so much, Yasmin.
Okay, thank you.
Are we done?
William, go ahead.
Yes,
Not yet.
you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Yasmin.
Go ahead, William, unmute yourself.
Oh, hi again. Jim, I've still got this belief or experience that I need to do something or nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I'm desperate for the sense of contraction to fall away for good rather than just as a glimpse. And I feel or believe that I have to talk to you or I'm not, or it's just going to carry on. If I just sit here listening as you're answering other people's questions, the contraction wouldn't fall away. So I don't.
So that's
really
what's happening.
I can't get my head around the idea, though, that I'm not choosing to ask a question.
Who would get their head around it?
I don't know. I think I'm trying to understand the concepts or believe in them.
Oh, you've got the concept. You just repeated it to me. You've got the concept. What you don't have is the experience or the knowing, and you never will.
So I might have asked you this in the past, but there are absolutely no rules to what happened or what appears to happen.
No, there's no rules to this.
And that's why there's nothing here that's suggested as an action that one could take in order to get somewhere.
No, there's no rules is not the reason why nothing's suggested. Nothing's suggested for two reasons. There is no one to suggest it to, and there is nothing that needs to happen. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this appearing as the experience of a separate individual, having the experience that something's missing and needs to be found. There's nothing right or wrong with that. That is equally the absolute or the unconditioned or whatever you want to call it, appearing as anything else.
So in order for you to be able to say that there's nothing wrong with the appearance of an individual who feels separate, that's could only be seen after the individual apparently falls away, when the concepts of right and wrong collapse as well.
Nobody ever sees it. This isn't that what we're talking about, the individual having the experience of knowing, and as I've said, in knowing engenders the need to know. There's an expectation that's part and parcel of the experience that there will be something that will inform that experience of I am, that will then be the solution to the questions that it has. So what it can't get, and it won't believe me, it can't believe me, but there aren't any answers to the questions. And this message isn't about answers. It's about there being no questioner. The answers are never answered. Nobody knows what death is, but there isn't any death. So nobody has the answer, but the question falls away with the questioner.
Okay, I think while you were sharing that, what I kind of realized was I'm still projecting onto you that you're a real person who's got somewhere. Yeah. And essentially, the sense of there being someone isn't happening anymore for Jim. And I can't understand that, because you say that when the separation or the appearance of there being someone falls away, it was revealed there never was anyone there. Yeah. So that's what I have difficulty with understanding.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think there was somebody called Jim, or there was an experience of someone called Jim, and then all of a sudden, at some point in time, that went.
Yeah.
Are you able to explain the reality, or why? Are you able to explain somehow how that isn't the case, that there was a Jim moving through time who fell away?
Well, I mean, just as we're talking about it, obviously there wasn't. If what's being suggested, which is what's being suggested, is that there isn't the end of someone, is the recognition there wasn't anyone, then to talk about the end of Jim as a real happening doesn't make sense. There wasn't a Jim to end. It was an illusion. See, the illusion that William might be having is that he's sitting on his couch. He prepared for this or wrote questions down or didn't, or whatever it was for this meeting, that he remembers there's certain things happening in his life which are unpleasant, and he's hoping in the future for something to appear or to change or to happen to make it better or different or whatever. Now, what's not obvious to that experience is that this conversation is all there is. This conversation and the appearance didn't actually come from anywhere. That was a real continuum of something happening to someone, nor is it going anywhere as a real continuum that's going to happen to someone. There isn't a real past or a real future. There is simply this, which is neither real nor unreal, nor is it substantial nor actual. So there's just explosive is notness. That's it. It doesn't make sense and it doesn't need to.
And so the idea that I'm in a process or that there is a process is just to complete part of the package of feeling like a separate person.
Totally. As well as the glimpses and the process and the progress. That's all part of the experience of the individual that has the experience that what appears is somehow not the way it should be.
And that what appears is connected to something that went before, and then what's happening now will be connected or influence what happens.
Something else. It's just simply something else. The experience of the individual is that there's something else. There's somewhere else. And that's where the treasure's hidden, according to the experience of the individual. And so it will continue to try to know enough, find enough, change enough, become good enough. Good enough is a big one for the individual. Be good enough so that it'll be worthy of this hidden knowledge. And the message is there isn't anything hidden. It is a mystery, and it has no need to be solved. This is a mystery.
And that when you say that there's nothing hidden, what you mean is nobody's going to wake up and see it as it really is.
Yeah, there's nothing hidden. The individual feels like something's missing, something's hidden from it. It needs to find it. There isn't anything hidden. There isn't any special knowledge.
And so basically there's not two positions, the one I'm in
Totally.
and the one you're in.
Totally.
the experience of being an individual is the experience of being a position, and that doesn't happen within a position.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I'm never going to get it. It's frustrating.
No,
Like,
there's no need. There's nothing to get.
Thanks.
Thank you, William. Go ahead, Jackie, and unmute yourself.
Oh, yeah, just checking. You know, you say there's no rules or anything, so there's no. Is there any kind of natural morality? Like, is there is there any kind of no? Good. But still, like, so if someone says to me, you know, I shouldn't steal, for instance, because I'm a bit of a kleptomaniac, that's just their opinion. There's nothing actually wrong with anything.
Well, you're not a kleptomaniac.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's just what's happening.
It's just what's happening. Nobody chooses.
Yeah. Okay, but no one can take like the moral high ground because there isn't one.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jackie. We have a couple more questions here. If Jim agrees that following apparent liberation, it is seen that there never was a self, then is that simply because there's no past where a self could have existed?
I don't know if I understood that, but it has nothing to do with there being a past where the individual doesn't exist. There's still an apparent past. So this can tell you about where it was born and all the rest of it. It's, what was the, now I've lost it. What was the question?
I've lost it too. Just a second.
Oh, right. Sorry about that.
If Jim agrees that following apparent liberation, it is seen that there never was a self, then is that simply because there's no past where a self would have existed?
No, there's still an apparent past, but there isn't any one that it arises for. The individual, this experience, what we're talking about is actually the experience is that there's a center in the body that knows what's happening. What it really is made of is there's a contracted energy which seems to know a here, which then expands out as a knowing cloud in which everything then arises for that experience in the body. And that is illusory. And that can, for no reason, stop happening. And that doesn't get rid of the past. What it does is it reveals nothing is real, nor is anything unreal. There is nothing but what appears, and what is all there is.
Brilliant. Thank you. There's a question here from Sarah. Iggy, is asking all questions worthless and a vicious circle?
Well, in one sense, you can, Iggy, is that what you said? Iggy
That's
Pop?
right, Iggy Connie.
Iggy Pop. Well, there can be sort of an exchange asking questions, but nobody does it. And, but of course it's worthless.
Rose asked, is it true that this can never be understood?
Well, no, well, I don't know what you mean by that. The question, the message, I think if you want to call it a message, there's certain basic concepts, which I think are very although unusual, are very simple to understand. It's just that what the concepts are pointing to or suggesting is not the reality. So the concept that there isn't anyone isn't the same thing as there being no one.
Thank you so much. Well, I think that's the last question that we have. I would like to thank, unless someone else has a quick question, you can raise your hand. Oh, there's Gunnar, sorry. Go ahead, please.
Maybe to wrap it up, would you say, I noticed that there's a particular type of person who gravitates to messages such as yourself, that of yourself and Tony's, or perhaps Yuji Krishnamurti. And I would sometimes seem to observe that they are of the cynical and despondent type. Would you say that that is just another style of avoiding the message?
Being cynical and despondent?
Yes.
Well,
And-
the individual will avoid this at all cost. It will not hear this, even when it's said directly to them. What it will do is it will think it understands it and put it into its experience and make it make sense for itself.
Yes.
That's what it'll do. It has no choice.
Yeah.
But as far as there being a particular type of person, I actually find all sorts that seem to be attracted to this.
But would you say that sometimes people try to avoid the message by seeming to agree with it?
Oh, they'll do anything. They'll either agree or disagree.
Yeah.
And either no matter what the individual does, it's based on a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It will inevitably misunderstand and either agree with it, believe it, try to apply it, or reject it. All of which are all personal experiences with the message, which have nothing to do with the message.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The message isn't really about getting anywhere. There isn't any object or intention to this conversation or to the appearance as a whole. There just isn't. It's already free. And so if there's an apparent dream individual that comes to it and applies it or misunderstands it or thinks they understand it and it's just more knowledge, makes no difference, has no value.
Also not
Nothing
a
right or wrong
negative
with it.
value.
No, nothing right or wrong with it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Gunnar.
Well, thank you, everyone. Just an announcement. We have a gym retreat coming up next weekend on the 15th and the 16th. You can go to nothing.fm. This recording will be available on YouTube and also nothing.fm. If you want to go to Jim's website, you can go to www.simply-this.com. Thank you so much, Jim. That was super epic. And I'm going to unmute everybody to say hello or bye. Just a second. Go ahead and mute yourself and say bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye, James.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you, Emerson.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Gloria.
See you.
Bye, Emerson.
Bye,
Hasta
Jim.
la vista.
Bye, Emerson.
Bye, Candias.
Goodbye.
This is so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye, Rita. Rita's somewhere. I haven't seen Rita. Bye, Rita.
Anybody wants to form a group for applying any of this, do call me. Just joking.
Thank you.
I'm an expert at applying it. Just
Bye,
say so
everybody.
what to anything.
Love you guys.
Bye, Jim.